4, 3, 2, 1.
This is the Alpha Communications pregame show on the Red Devil Radio Network.
All right, guys, yes, it is time for the Alpha Communications pregame show on the Red Devil Radio Network. I am the voice of the Red Devils, Josh Truby, that's currently out of breath because y'all were thirsty.
Well, if I may introduce myself, I'm Tyler Cloud, and Josh, you are out of breath because you're astonishingly athletic. And,
I've been athletic since 1997.
Listen, you somehow managed to go down and get 3 beverages from the concession stand here at Red Devil Stadium in a matter of probably 5 minutes. And that was impressive. We have a third man in the booth with us. Who is he?
This is Glenn Pemberton, a familiar voice to the Red Devil Radio Network. I am back after taking a year off. We took a year off, and I'm just thrilled to be back here, joining with my boys here, Tyler and Josh Truby, and looking forward to a great year. I am pumped, to quote my man Josh Truby over here, to be back.
But I'm not. I won't hold it against you this time.
Yeah, you probably used the word pumped about 27 times today, but you know what? It's okay.
Well, I'm the one that told him to trademark it.
It's okay because we are starting the high school football season again, boys.
Y'all smell that?
It smells like football.
It's in the air, baby, and I can smell it.
It's in the air. I mean, we're sitting here overlooking beautiful Red Devil Stadium. Got the nice L at midfield in white, trimmed in a red outline. You got the Devils over here on the east end of the stadium in all red tonight. Man, that all red looks
that looks sharp.
Looks sharp.
Not gonna lie to you.
The Purple Hurricanes are to our west, and they are looking nice in their purple helmets and all white tonight. And you can tell it's just the start of another season and the continuation of another rivalry, Josh.
And man, I'm excited. This has always been a bitter rivalry, I guess, as you'd say, for Loganville and Monroe, for that matter. And it is. I do want to allude to it. It is alumni night.
Yes, it is.
And I say that because we are all alumni, and I can remember being in school and having this rivalry. And you were on the sidelines for this rivalry a couple times.
I was.
And I mean, I was in the stands in the band, for those of you who don't remember. And from that point, it was, man, okay, we're going to do this. You know what I mean? From the stands. Now, I don't know what it's like on the sideline, because I was only in the field for halftime for like 8 minutes.
Well, see, Glenn knows what it's like to be in both places, don't
That's
you, Glenn?
True, yeah.
Yeah, matter of fact, let me give you guys a little history lesson. See, in 2010, I was very blessed and very fortunate to win the honor of being the LHS Homecoming King. One of the greatest moments, probably in LHS history, by the way.
Yes,
if
probably.
I do, and not just my life, but in LHS history. I mean,
Absolutely.
I've got photos of me winning that thing, and just I was overwhelmed. I didn't really have time to be overwhelmed because the entire football team just swarmed me, lifted me way up in the air, and just, I mean, it was crazy.
And didn't you get to run through the banner on homecoming?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
I don't know if you knew this beforehand, but we planned to surprise you that entire week.
I knew because Chase Owens kind of hinted at me that.
Come on, Chowens.
Yeah.
Come on, Chowens.
Yeah, he told me, he's like, Glenn, you wanna lead us out football tonight?
And I hope Chase is listening. Chase is down in Florida. Chase is a good buddy of mine. Chase, I hope you're listening down there in Jacksonville if you're still down there. But yeah, buddy, we were all blessed by your presence that night on the sideline, and I believe we pulled out a win that night, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
I believe we played Flowery Branch that night.
Yep.
I'm going to have to disagree. I don't think we were able to win that one.
Really? Okay.
Because I remember everyone, it was just one of those nights where Flowery Branch, I mean, they were, and you know this,
I think Connor
Tyler.
Shaw was playing with him at the time.
You know what?
You're right.
You're right. But see, I thought it was a different game. I didn't know it was Flowery Branch.
Yeah, it was Flowery Branch.
You're right.
It was kind of a bittersweet game because as much as I love the moment of getting to lead that team out, we just kind of I think we got walloped pretty bad. I mean, I don't have the history book in front of me right now to recap the score of that, but I want to say it was a tough night because I remember.
You know what, though? You know what? After the game, all the guys were still talking about, that entire day in the gym and that night when you let them out of the tunnel. And it was,
my gosh. I mean, it's been 7 years, man, since then, and I'll never forget that. I mean, I still think about it. I got the pictures on my wall at the house to remind me of that day forever, and it was a wonderful, probably the greatest day of my life, in my opinion. But also, I mean, since we're talking alumni here, it was I remember a few weeks later, you got a chance to be out right there in the middle of that field,
yes,
in the middle of that L.
Yes, I
and
sure did.
Toss the coin.
I sure
and
did.
Suit up. Not only toss the coin, but suit up.
Yeah, we played Appalachia that night, and we're able to get a win, I believe, and it was just a very special evening. Wore number 6 in honor of my boy Clay Garner. Clay, I hope you're listening as well. Clay's still here in the Loganville area. Was a heck of a pitcher and a wide receiver for us back in the day.
Yes, he was. He was in my Spanish class.
We still keep in touch, and Clay's a good guy. Actually works for our family business, which is also our sponsor,
Alpha Communications.
Awesome.
Which Clay does some great work for us all across the state of Georgia and really all across the nation. So, it was nice to kind of salute him in that way, and the plan was for me to try to get in, but we weren't able to work that out because it was a little closer than maybe we anticipated. And so, it was a very special night. And I actually have a funny story from that night, if I may, Josh, that I shared with you earlier.
Go for it.
This afternoon. So we all had the pleasure, and when I say pleasure, I mean that quite literally, of knowing head coach Mike Humphreys on a personal level. I tell you, this man is intense. This man is a disciplinarian. This man is really a heck of a football coach. What he's been able to do in his first 2 years is very impressive. He's very vocal on the sidelines, Coach Humphreys is. I'm sure you saw that when you were down there, Glenn, that night. Just a very intense. And at the time, Coach Hump was our defensive coordinator, and he's now the head coach, obviously. But at the time, he was our defensive coordinator. And so when you're on the field, there's only a certain area where players can stand. And if the players stand outside those lines, they get flagged. And so I was used to being a manager. And being a manager, you can kind of roam the sidelines and stand wherever you want to. Well, in the heat of the moment, I kind of forgot that I had a uniform on. So I was standing outside the team box. And Coach Humphreys looked over and said, "Hey." And I kind of was startled. And he said, "Hey, you got a uniform on tonight. I can yell at you too." So he was, of course, he meant it in jest. And he was joking. But he was also kind of serious because he didn't want his defense giving up any extra yards that they didn't have to. But again, what Coach Humphreys has been able to do in the last 2 years has been really special. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that right after this break here on the Alpha Communications pregame show on the Red Devil Radio Network.
Does your business or school district need two-way radio system service and repair? How about GPS installation? If so, call Alpha Communications, located in Loganville, Georgia. Alpha is a family-run business who for 25 years has been serving the state of Georgia and the United States, installing systems in 48 states and Canada, as well as in over 140 counties in Georgia. Call them at 770-263-8843. 770-263-8843. Alpha Communications, the best communications provider in all of America.
Do you want to listen to Red Devil football anytime you want?
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Download our app. Here's live play-by-play coverage of football with my dad, the voice of the Red Devils, Josh Truby, Tyler Cloud, and Glenn Pemberton. Also, go back and download a game to keep, or just re-listen to your favorite game. Red Devil Sports, anytime, anywhere.
Are you and your family in search of a church home? Are you in search of a place where you and your children can grow spiritually? Then you're invited to join us at Church at the Grove at one of our 2 campuses, located in Walnut Grove and in Social Circle. Our Walnut Grove campus is located at 1050 Walnut Grove Parkway in Loganville, and our Social Circle campus is located at 1317 North Cherokee Road in Social Circle. Our service times are at 9:15 and 11, and our students meet on Wednesday night in Walnut Grove from 6 to 8 p.m. and on Sunday night in Social Circle from 6 to 8 p.m. We invite you to come and join us as we worship the Lord in song and in service with messages delivered by our pastors, Russ Butcher and Nathan Boyd. Church at the Grove, where no one's perfect, everyone's welcome, and anything's possible.
My God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside.
Hello and welcome, Red Devil fans. This is Mike Robinson, principal of Loganville High School. You're listening to the Red Devil Radio Network.
This is Dr. Bowman, the athletic director at Loganville High School. Appreciate all your support with Red Devil Radio and Loganville High School.
Hey, this is Coach King, head coach of the Loganville Red Devil volleyball team. Thank you for listening to Red Devil Sports on the Red Devil Radio Network.
This is Coach Humphreys, head football coach at Loganville High School. Thank you for listening to Red Devil Football on Red Devil Network.
Just watch.
That was an operator error.
That's all right.
But we'll fix it. This is the Red Devil Radio Network on
the Alpha Communications pregame show.
That's right.
There you go. Hey, listen, it's rusty for the announcer's booth too. Okay.
It is.
This is our first time back in probably
couple years. Yeah.
Somewhere around 700 days or so.
Something like that. Yeah.
Got to knock the rust off a little bit.
But dude, there's some awesome games going on around the region. And before we get into that, there is where is it at? I had it just a few minutes ago. We're going to start cross-promoting with Flowery Branch because they also have a radio network just like us online, and I think it's fbbroadcasting.com, and that's where you can go and find out what's going on else in the region if you can't get enough with just Loganville. And this is what the voice of the Falcons has to say.
Hey folks, this is Chris Casey, the voice of the Flowery Branch Falcons. After listening to Josh on the Red Devil Radio Network, if you're still looking for more high school football action, come check us out on fbbroadcasting.com and the NFHS Network.
Chris Casey, a good friend of mine, he's in my fantasy football league. It's just something extra as an added bonus if you want to listen.
Well, I tell you what, they're not in the region anymore, are they? Correct?
No, 85A. There they are, right there.
Okay,
they're in our region.
So you are actually helping an enemy right now. So
I told him earlier today. I said, don't come crying when I beat you in fantasy football and high school ratings.
Okay,
so,
all right.
So there is some type of rivalry going on with Chris, but.
Well, let's take a look around Region 85A tonight. We got some good matchups going on. First is the Buford Wolves. They come into tonight with a record of 1-0 after throttling Hillgrove last week in the Corky Cup Classic 48-17. Tonight they play Melbourne Central Catholic from Melbourne, Florida, down in Buford. So that's that matchup over there in Buford. Lost to our friends from Winterboro last week, 35-28. So the Gladiators come into tonight's action 0-1, taking on Oconee County. Johnson Gainesville, after falling to our friends from Social Circle 42-13, nice win for the Redskins there. They play at West Hall this evening. Cedar Shoals, they open their season up tonight at Discovery High School. Flowery Branch, as you just heard from Chris there, they open up their season at North Hall this evening. Our matchup here is the Loganville Red Devils versus the Monroe Area Purple Hurricanes, and we'll have that for you right here on the Red Devil Radio Network. Our friends from across town, the Walnut Grove Warriors, open up tonight's action with the Winterboro Double D Dogs, who will be making their way over to Warrior Stadium in Walnut Grove. That should be a good one there. We'll keep you posted throughout the evening. And I believe that's going to do it. Yeah, that'll do it for Region 85A. So we have a night full of action in the region here, Glenn.
Definitely. And I'm looking forward to something that the game you just mentioned, the Walnut Grove game. I did a little bit of while we were off, and I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this.
You might.
I'm just kidding. While we were off last year, I worked for a little small low-powered radio station over on 81. It was called Vision Radio, and we got to do Walnut Grove football home games. And so I had a chance to really learn up and talk to some of the coaches and learn about the team. And Walnut Grove, I tell you, they showed a lot of heart last year. I mean, they were a little team that, they lost some tough games last year, but they were able to fight. They had a really good end of the year toward the end, and they were able to win their last game. I believe it was against Clark Central or Cedar Shoals, and they wound up making the playoffs.
Right.
First time in school history. They're a young school,
right.
Because they were founded when we were still.
They opened up our senior year of high school.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
yeah.
2010.
Because I think it was my senior year was the last year we were all going to be together, and then we were going to split.
Right.
Yep.
So, for those of you who don't know, I'm actually on staff at a church in Walnut Grove called Church at the Grove.
One of our sponsors.
One of
Also
our
another
sponsors
sponsor.
who you may have heard during the break, and you're also going to hear my good friend Pastor Russ Butcher with our pregame prayer later on. A little bit of a teaser there. I know Russ and my man Pat Harden, our youth director, are listening in tonight, and so I've gotten a chance to know some Walnut Grove kids too as well. I have 2 cousins that are in school over there, so. I'm really pulling for the Warriors to do well, except for that one time a year where they suit up against the Red Devils.
Yeah.
And so
September
funny
22nd
is
is when it's going to be this year. September the 22nd.
The funny thing is about that is I actually got a chance to interview their head coach, Coach Ben Reeves, and he's a nice guy, wonderful man, and reminds me a lot of Coach Mark Rick and just his attitude and just the way he carries himself, and he's a man of very strong faith, and he has that, conviction, to be a really strong coach and a mentor to these kids.
Well, he wants his kids to be involved in the community, Glenn, as you said, and that's what you look for in a coach, and I think we've got a good one here ourselves.
Absolutely.
As well as Coach Mike Humphreys, and got a little bit of stats we're going to run through for you later on. Josh, unless you want to do that now. You want to cover that now?
No, we can hold on. We can hold off.
Okay, we'll hold off a little bit until closer to kickoff.
But that just means they got to continue listening now.
Right.
Because now they want to hear them.
Because, listen, you're going to want to hear these stats that I took the time to dig up today. Coach Humphreys is doing some fantastic work here on the football field, on the gridiron here in Loganville. But that's not the only sport that has built a tradition of winning. Tonight at halftime, I don't know if you guys know about this. Tonight at halftime, the baseball team will be receiving their state championship rings.
That's right.
I have one at my house. I'm blessed to say from 2008, our little Cinderella run that we went on. Tonight, the baseball team, led by Coach Jeff Zegers, will be receiving their 3rd set of state championship rings in school history. So that will be a cool ceremony to be a part of at halftime.
You know what's sad about that whole situation is my sophomore year was the year before they won state, and I busted out my knee.
Right.
And then I was like, y'all couldn't have done that the year before, so at least I could have still got a ring.
Right.
That was brutal,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it is.
I'm just kidding.
It's all about timing, man.
I know,
But,
right? But,
it was,
I had a good run.
Yeah, it was great to do stats for those guys, and some of those guys still listen in. I know Coach Ryan listens in when we're on the road, and those guys are great coaches and just a great group of kids, and they got it done again this year.
Sometimes they listen after the game, too.
Yeah, they do. They really do, and they got it done again this year, defeating. Lou, help me out here, Josh. Who did I can't remember for the life of me who they beat in the final round.
This year?
Yeah, I watched
Savannah, somewhere in Savannah.
It was in Savannah. Oh, gosh. I can't remember. We'll get back to that, but my phone's probably going to blow up.
If you're listening, you can actually chat with us. Tell us who it was.
Yeah, I cannot remember who they beat in the final round, and when someone texts me that, I'm going to lose my mind. Actually, at this point, I hope Coach Ryan's not listening, because he would be ashamed of me not remembering who we beat in the state finals.
I was watching it live
I
on
watched it
Facebook.
live, too. So many people watched it live.
It was Wayne County. Wayne County.
There you go.
So my
memory
memory shows up
later, but it's here.
Yeah, it showed up late, but it's here. So we beat Wayne County in the finals, and it's going to be a real pleasure to see those players and coaches be honored at the 50-yard line at halftime.
Absolutely. And speaking of showing up later, this is not region related, but it is high school related. Last week, my daughter had to go do this Meet the Vikings thing because she's a cheerleader at East Hall High School. Well, they were playing Habersham County. I'll listen to the game on the radio because I don't go to any game that's not Loganville.
Right.
And the final score was astonishing. 72-55 in favor of Habersham County.
Oh, boy. Wow.
The defenses didn't show up that night.
Yeah, you know what? We used to call that in the locker room. We used to say defense optional.
Defense optional
is what we used to say.
That's great.
It was, I told Josh this on the phone. I said it was like a an arena football or a college basketball game or something.
You know what? Don't even mention those numbers to Coach Humphreys. He may have a heart attack down there on the sideline. Man, ridiculous. That's crazy. That's a basketball score.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But that sounded like a wild one over there in the Gainesville area. Is that where you said?
Yep.
Yeah.
About 5-10 minutes from my house.
Man, oh man, that's crazy there. But,
it was ridiculous. But didn't mean to go down that path. But
no, it's okay. You gotta recognize your home folk. Living up there in the Gainesville area now.
Yeah, East Hall. They're decent. I mean, I don't follow them nor because they're in 3A, not even in our region, so I don't really follow them as much.
Right.
So, but I just seen that score and I was, what? Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
So, but getting back to 8-5A, we got a great matchup for you tonight. The Purple Hurricanes. You
gotta say purple.
You gotta say purple. Purple Hurricanes from Monroe, traveling all the way to Loganville. It's a good 25 minutes. And as Loganville, man, I just can't get over that it's the first game of the season already.
It is, man. Football's in the air. I mean, we got a cool little breeze blowing here in the booth, but I will tell you, my stepdad is a Monroe area grad, so this is the only time of year that we're a little bit of a house divided.
My mom is a Monroe area grad.
Right, and he would be very upset with you for not putting the purple in the Hurricanes.
Yeah, well, my mom graduated when it was Monroe area comprehensive high school.
Yeah, so I mean, I sent him some of the stats over today, talking about Loganville's history and the things they've got going on down there for the Red Devils, and he was like, man, I hope we can get to that point. And Coach Kevin Reach, we'll get into this later on, the new head coach for the Hurricanes, he had some pretty good success over at Collins Hill before coming over here to Monroe. So if anybody can bring the success and the sustainability that this program needs, it might be Coach Kevin Reach.
Absolutely.
It was a really, doing my research for tonight, Monroe it was a really rough year for them last year. I mean, they went 3-7. They just their offense was just they only put up. I think there was only one or two little games where they put up more than 7 points. I mean, it was just.
I think you said in your column on the website reddevilradio.com. Go check that out.
Yes, Pemberton's Place.
The Pemberton's Place column. Yes. There's some good stuff in there. I think you said that their opponents outscored them 243-143. Is that correct?
Yes.
Man, that's an uphill battle there.
Oh man, I mean. I'm telling you, Tyler, the scores that I was seeing, I mean, they were getting walloped like 41-7. I mean, this wasn't just a one-time thing. This was like almost consecutive weeks. This was going on.
Well, I think Coach Joey Solkowski was a great guy. I had a chance to interview him a couple times post game, and he was always very gracious after a win or a loss to take my questions. He was just a great guy, and I wish him all the best. I think Kevin Reach's final record at Collins Hill was 46-36. I think he had a couple region titles over there at Collins Hill. So maybe he can bring some success over here to Purple and White Land.
Yeah.
And I tell you, right after we graduated, Glenn, there was a really good class of kids that came through from Monroe. There was one guy who was the same age as us, named Stephon Tuitt, who went on to start at Notre Dame and is now, I believe, with the Pittsburgh Steelers still. He may not be with the Steelers. Monroe fans, help me out with that. If he's not with the Steelers, I know he's still in the NFL. We got Brett Fowler here. Brett, is Stephon still with the Steelers? Oh, he's going to join us.
Oh, yeah. What's up here?
Is Stephon Tuitt still with the Steelers?
He is. He's actually, I think they're trying to work on a new contract right now to help get him to be $10 million man.
Oh, okay. I think Josh cut his mic off before he left. So I think you might be off. But
he's muted.
What Brett says is they're trying to work out a new contract for Stephon. Are you on now with us, Brett?
I think I should be on now.
You're good now. So what were you saying?
They should be working on a new contract for Stephon. Looking to be, I think, 10 to 12 million was kind of the number they were looking at to try to get to there.
Yeah, so, I mean, Monroe has been pumping out some guys, too. They have Stanton Truitt, who's currently on roster at Auburn.
He's actually at North Carolina now.
Is he? Did he transfer? Okay, I saw him make a couple plays last year for Auburn, but he is now at Tar Heel.
So did we make an executive decision while the executive was gone?
I guess so. I guess while you left the booth,
we started talking about the Monroe guys. We had to bring
Oh,
Monroe
we
guys.
got to bring the Monroe guy in.
You had to bring
That's
a Monroe
right.
grad in
That's
your
right.
sports editor at the Walton Tribune, my good friend Brett Fowler. Thank you for joining us, my man.
Yes, sir.
It's always, man, football's back when B. Fowler's in the booth. We were talking about a little bit of a house divided dynamic with my stepfather Eric graduating from Monroe, class of '95, and I saw your mother post on Facebook today.
Yeah, y'all have a similar issue of what we have.
Yeah, y'all have a little bit of that going on as well. So what's that like? Does it get a little crazy this week in your house?
You know, there really hasn't been a whole lot of trash talking. Bryce is still off at school. He's actually back down here tonight.
Okay.
But there hasn't been a whole lot of trash talking in it. I think when Bryce was playing here, they had a lot more success than we did when I was at Monroe. So it's really hard to talk trash, except for those years that Monroe was really good and we're just throttling everybody.
Right. I was telling Glenn that Monroe had a really good crop of kids come through. Truett and those guys. I think they reached the Elite Eight a couple times, and since then it's been kind of rough terrain the past few years. What do you think of Coach Kevin Reach? Do you think he might be able to provide some sustainability to the program?
Well, definitely. I think Coach Reach has brought in a great coaching staff, and that's no knock on Coach Solkowski and his staff that he had in place the last 3 years. But Coach Reach has brought in a great staff. Majority of those guys came with him from Collins Hill, and they're definitely going to keep that program kind of going in the right direction to get back to those good years when Coach Sligg was still there, when they were going to the Elite Eight and the Final Four and games like that. But I think the biggest problem was, though, for Coach Solkowski is he came in right after that big influx of talent graduated.
Right.
And so it was taking him a little while to build that program up. And so last year they were starting to break through a little bit. They had some guys coming back. And this year they're bringing back a good bit of talent. So tonight ought to be interesting. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think this game's going to be.
Yeah, well, as I said earlier, I referenced Glenn's great column today on the website. He brought up a stat that you might find interesting. Monroe was outscored by 100 points on the dot last season.
Yep.
Do you think that kind of turns around a little bit this year based on the kids they have coming back and the talent on both sides?
Well, definitely. I think, like I said before, they've got a pretty good bit of talent coming back. And that defense last year wasn't terrible. Now, I know the stats don't look right, but the defense played hard, and they were in some games. And from the games I remember seeing last year, a lot of those points that they gave up were in trash minutes when Monroe was tired at the end of the game. So I think they're going to be more conditioned now. They've got a good strength and conditioning program going on over there at Monroe. And I think the new defense coordinator, Coach Larry Massey, who's been around the game for forever, he coached with Coach Stringer at Clarkston.
Okay. Yep.
I think he's bringing in a good defense, and I think these guys are picking up on it real well. And I think you're going to see it's paying off a little bit here. And like I said, I think this game's going to be closer than people think it's going to be, and I think Monroe's going to come out, and it's going to be an even matchup for at least the first half.
Well, there's an old saying, Glenn, that it's not really a rivalry unless it's competitive.
Yep.
You've done a lot of research yourself. I would like your opinion on this. Do you think the Canes can make it a little bit more competitive and maybe give us a game here in the opener?
Well, it's really hard to tell, but I mean, it's a new season. It's a brand new season. Anything can happen in sports. We know that.
Yep.
So, I mean, looking at it, I looked at it based off of last year, because that's really all you really have until a New Year's play.
Absolutely.
And it was, as I said earlier, I mean, Monroe just didn't have any offense last year.
Yeah.
They only put up, beyond 7 points in only a couple of games last year.
Right.
So the matchup last year, LHS won 30-7. Exactly 1 year ago from today.
Right.
So I think that, as you know, LHS lost some really good players this past offseason with Cameron Perkins and Daryl Giles and Shai Kim, those explosive guys on offense. So the way I look at it, they're going to have to learn these. They've got a young team too this year, so they've got those guys have got to figure out who's going to step up and be a leader. And so the way I look at it is that they're not going to be as explosive because of those guys leaving, and not being there. I think that LHS is still going to hold on and win, but it's not going to be as bad, or in my opinion, as it was last year.
So I think you predicted 21-7.
21-7.
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
I feel like that's reasonable.
That's solid. Brett, if you had to give a score tonight, are you comfortable doing that?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, all right.
Kind of what Glenn said. I think, like I said, it's going to be close. I'm saying, 10 points to 2 touchdowns, somewhere in that range. But I'm going to give Monroe's offense a little bit more credit. I'm going to say, maybe 28-14 or 28-10, something like that. Just because I think Loganville is still going to be really good. That's the thing. It's Coach Humphreys, and he's got a great staff in place, and they've got the ball rolling here the last couple of years. And I think it's just going to keep rolling. A lot of these players are still in that offense. They've been in there for a couple of years now. But I think, like I said, Monroe's improved. So we'll see how it matches up.
Yeah, that's what you were saying earlier about, with this new – there's a new guard for Monroe. So with the new guard comes new philosophies, new plays.
Yep.
So – and what you're saying about Coach Reach, I mean, he may have brought in a system that's going to be able to work and fit the player's system well.
Right.
And that's going to accumulate into better success for them.
Brett, we were able to collaborate on the Gridiron Guide, the staff at the Walton Tribune. I thought it was just a fantastic read. When I was interviewing Coach Mike Humphreys for our Loganville's column, he brought up something that was very interesting to me. He said this team is going to have to find its own identity. They bring in a quarterback transfer, David Smith, from Newton, I believe, is where he came from. Were you able to attend the South Gwinnett scrimmage?
I was not. I was actually a little busy that night and was not able to catch that scrimmage.
Okay, I wasn't able to come either, so I was looking for maybe a set of eyes that might have been here, but I did catch some highlights. David Smith is a good bit bigger than Cam Perkins was. He's about 6'3", going about 215. And I saw him make some really nice throws. Do you think that this offense under David Smith is going to lack some of the dimensions that they had under Cam Perkins? Or do you think they'll be able to kind of keep it rolling under offensive coordinator Jimmy Jarrett?
Well, I think David's going to pick up on this offense pretty well in his first year. Just from what I've seen from spring ball to now, he's looking a lot better and a lot more comfortable at the quarterback position. But for Cam, it took him a good 2 years to kind of pick up the offense and be able to run it very efficiently. He picked it up great his first year running it, but we'll see how David can do. I think Coach Jarrett does a good job of developing his quarterbacks, and it's really going to come down to decision making. As long as David can make good decisions with the ball, not throw interceptions, throw into coverages or anything like that, then he'll probably be all right.
Right. One thing that I always liked about Coach Humphreys is his system on defense is very easy to pick up from one year to the next. These kids always seem to have a seamless transition. As Glenn mentioned, they did lose a lot of talent, but there are still some playmakers returning. Brett, you have C.J. Wims coming back. You have Moss on the defensive line. You have a lot of these. Darius Hart is going to be in the defensive backfield. Dante Burton, probably the biggest transfer the Devils were able to pick up in the offseason, coming from Central Gwinnett. Dante will be playing both ways. What do you think his impact will be?
I definitely think he's going to be a big impact. He is arguably the most talented player in Walton County right now. He's got major offers, including Notre Dame, I think is on him really heavily right now. But he's definitely going to be a difference maker. But like I said, they've got some other key playmakers coming back on defense. Like you mentioned C.J. Wims, you mentioned Justin Moss, but they've also got Carson Moore.
Right.
Carson's a big key to that defense.
Yes,
and he and C.J. are going to wreak some havoc there at the linebacker position. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't think the defense is going to struggle as much as maybe the offense might. Just having a lot new players in each position, I think the defense is carrying over a little bit more talent.
Brett Fowler, thank you, my brother. Thank you for joining us here on the pregame show. Brett will be with us all season when he can, depending on his assignment. And you just heard it from the man, Brett Fowler, sports editor at the Walton Tribune, here on the Alpha Communications pregame show on the Red Devil.
Does your business or school district need two-way radio system service and repair? How about GPS installation? If so, call Alpha Communications, located in Loganville, Georgia. Alpha is a family-run business who for 25 years has been serving the state of Georgia and the United States installing systems in 48 states and Canada, as well as in over 140 counties in Georgia. Call them at 770-263-8843. 770-263-8843. Alpha Communications, the best communications provider in all of America.
In the market for a new home? Then look no further than my boy Cameron Snell. Hey, it's Josh, and I bought my house from him, and it is awesome. He really listens to your needs and wants, but he fits it in your budget. You can reach him at 404-455-2549. Cameron Snell, Realtor Extraordinaire. That number again, 404-455-2549. And don't wait, because your dream house is waiting. Cameron Snell, Loganville's most trusted realtor.
Are you and your family in search of a church home? Are you in search of a place where you and your children can grow spiritually? Then you're invited to join us at Church at the Grove at one of our 2 campuses, located in Walnut Grove and in Social Circle. Our Walnut Grove campus is located at 1050 Walnut Grove Parkway in Loganville, and our Social Circle campus is located at 1317 North Cherokee Road in Social Circle. Our service times are at 9:15 and 11, and our students meet on Wednesday night in Walnut Grove from 6 to 8 p.m. and on Sunday night in Social Circle from 6 to 8 p.m. We invite you to come and join us as we worship the Lord in song and in service with messages delivered by our pastors, Russ Butcher and Nathan Boyd. Church at the Grove, where no one's perfect, everyone's welcome, and anything's possible.
God's not dead, he's surely alive. He's living on the inside.
And we're back here. The time is 7:08 p.m. The stadium clock reads 21 minutes and 15 seconds. Football is here again, ladies and gentlemen, and it's time for the Red Devil Radio Network Region 858 picks of the evening as the Loganville Red Devil marching band takes the field here, guys. Let's pick some games, shall we? Let's go first to Buford, where Buford will host a Melbourne Central Catholic out of Melbourne, Florida, guys. Who you got in that one, Josh?
Honestly, not knowing much about Melbourne Central, I'm going to have to go with Buford. I've just seen the way they play. They play hard. They play physical. I'm going to have to go with Buford on this one.
Glenn?
Same with Josh. I mean, I got a chance last year while I did Walnut Grove, covered Walnut Grove, to see Buford firsthand. And those guys are monsters. I mean, they're huge guys. I mean, they're like NFL-sized college guys.
We watched Buford in my household last weekend. They got a freshman quarterback with a cannon in McLaughlin. They got a nice tailback committed to Tennessee and Anthony Grant. Just playmakers all over the field. I'm going to have to go with the Wolves in this one.
Buford's going to be hungry, too, because I mean, they lost the state last year at Rome. They're going to be hungry.
Next, we have over in Athens, we have Clark Central versus Oconee County, guys. Josh?
I'm going to have to go with Oconee County. That game is actually tomorrow. But I'm gonna have to go with Oconee County. They're having a rebuilding year, but I mean they're decent. So I'm gonna have to go with Oconee County on this one.
Okay, Glenn.
I'll take Clark Central.
Okay.
Just because Athens.
I'm gonna go Oconee County as well. I think Oconee County's got a solid program. Last week's loss to Wander Barrow is probably going to leave the Glads a little hungover, I guess you could say. So I'm going to go Oconee County in this one. Next, we have Johnson Gainesville taking on West Hall. Josh?
I'm going to have to go West Hall. Johnson just having a rough year so far and haven't really had a good, steady, that C word you told me, consistent.
Right.
Consistency in their football program. So I'm going to have to take the West Hall Trojans on this one.
Glenn?
I agree with Josh. Johnson just had a atrocious season last year. I don't even think they won a game last year.
They did not.
So I'm going to go with West Hall.
Okay, next we have Cedar Shoals, and they will be at Discovery High School this evening. So who do you got in the Jags against Discovery, Josh?
I'm going to have to go Cedar Shoals. I don't know much about Discovery. Haven't really seen them play, haven't really followed them. So I've got to go with what I know. I'm going to go Cedar Shoals.
Glenn?
Just going to stay within our region, Cedar Shoals.
I'm gonna pick Discovery in an upset. I think the Jags come up on the short end of this one over at Discovery.
And next we have the Flowery Branch Falcons opening up their season at North Hall. Josh.
I'm going to have to go the Branch on this one. It is a road game for the Falcons. They had a strong season last year, and I look for them to rebound on top of that. So I'm going to say the Falcons probably by a field goal.
Okay, Glenn.
I'm kind of iffy on this, but I'll go Flowery Branch.
Okay, good. And we're going to go across town to our friends in Walnut Grove taking on the Winder Barrow Double G Dogs in their season opener. Winder Barrow, of course, comes in 1-0. Josh, who you got in this one?
I'm actually going to go Winder Barrow. They're at home. They're hungry. Or, no, excuse me. They're at Walnut Grove, aren't
Yes,
they?
they're
Never
at
mind.
Walnut Grove, yes.
They're at the Grove.
I'm still going to have to go Double G Dogs, man. I mean, they're hungry. They want it. They're in that upper echelon. They're in that 6A now.
Yes.
So I'm going to have to go Double G Dogs.
Glenn.
You know, it's going to be one of those things where I'm going to have to go. There's a part of me that realistically feels like Winder Barrow is going to win, but my heart's, because of the history, is going with Walnut Grove.
You know what? So that I don't get fired or excommunicated from my church community, I'm going to... Actually, you know what? We're going to take a break right here and go to the National Anthem. We'll be right back with Game Picks on the Red Devil Radio Network.
Anytime you want.
Yes! Yes!
Download our app. Here's live play-by-play coverage of football with my dad, the voice of the Red Devils, Josh Truby, Tyler Cloud, and Glenn Pemberton. Also, go back and download the game to keep, or just re-listen to your favorite game. Red Devil Sports, anytime, anywhere.
Well, that was the most adorable commercial I've ever heard. That one snuck up on me there, Josh.
Well, you know.
That was awesome.
It's in our blood. What can I say?
I love that. What can
I say? It's in our blood.
Right before we came up on the hard break there for the National Anthem, I thought there was going to be a little bit of a pregame show deal going on, but the Red Devil Band took us right into the National Anthem, so we came up against a hard break there. I apologize for that. I was not expecting to go that quickly into the Star Spangled Banner, but right as I was making my pick for Walnut Grove and Winder Barrow, we had to take a break there. So, as I was saying, just so that I don't get excommunicated from my church community over in Walnut Grove, I'm going to say the Warriors pull one off over at Warrior Stadium. That pick may surprise some people, but I think Coach Reeves will have the Warriors ready to play.
and I think they end up pulling one off this week. And finally, gentlemen, the matchup of the night. The visiting Monroe area Purple Hurricanes against our Loganville Red Devils. Josh, who do you got?
I think the name of the company speaks for itself.
Okay.
And I'm just going to leave it at that.
And Josh is full of his homer juice tonight.
Hey, listen. When I've done as much work into this,
amen,
you
buddy.
can't pick against them.
I hear you. Glenn, who you got, Bubba?
Would pick against the network, the team that we're covering, but anyway.
Or the team that employs you, whichever one you want to.
Of course, yeah. Of course, yeah, exactly. Obviously, I'm going with the Red Devils. I want to take a minute and make an honorable shout-out to my Uncle Emery, a.k.a. Duke.
Hello,
because he sent me a text message just earlier, and he predicts the final score will be 21-13 Red Devils. So he kind of agreed with Red over there. So
I can see that.
It's going to be, as I said in my blog post earlier that I wrote, Red Devils 21-7.
21-7 Red Devils. Well, guys, I'm going to go with a little bit bigger of a margin. I'm going to say 31-10 Red Devils. 31-10 is my final score. I tell you what, we're going to. You want to take a break, or you want to keep it here? And,
no, you know what we could do? We'll take ourselves a little bit of a break, and then when we come back, we'll be on a different stream. So if you're listening live, you can stop this stream, and then you will be alerted when we're live again, and then we'll bring kickoff.
Yes, when we come back, I'll give you my keys to the game. I'd like to thank my man Glenn Pemberton for joining us here on the Alpha Communications pregame show. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, here in about 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah, I'd say about 7:23 is when we'll be back.
7:23, we'll be back with the live stream. Myself and my man Josh Truby, for my man Glenn Pemberton, for my man Josh Truby, for Brett Fowler. Come back and join us, ladies and gentlemen. Football is here on the Red Devil Radio Network.